Good morning, students. Let us continue with the chapter Separation of Substances. So, in this chapter, we were discussing the methods of separation of the components of mixture of solids with liquids. We already have studied the methods of separation of the mixture of solid with solid, and now we are discussing mixtures of solids with liquids. Now this type of mixture, it can be of two types. First, in which solids dissolve in liquid, and second, in which solids do not dissolve in liquid. This type of mixture in which solids dissolve in liquids can be separated by two methods: evaporation and crystallization. Okay, one question on the way. Can we separate the rice and pebble, mixture of rice and pebble, by the process of evaporation? Yes, rice and pebble by the process of evaporation. Well, the answer is no. And why not? Because rice and pebble both are the solids, while evaporation is the method of separation of the solids with liquids, mixture of solids with liquids. Okay, so these two are the methods of separation of such mixture in which solids are soluble in liquid, and second type of mixture in which solids do not dissolve in liquid. Today, this will be our topic, right? So this type of mixture, the components of this type of mixture can be separated by these methods. What are the different methods? Sedimentation and decantation, then filtration, next is loading, and then it is centrifugation, right? And so today we will discuss these two methods: sedimentation and decantation, and filtration. Okay, so let us see what is this muddy water, right? That means the mixture of mud and water. That means the mixture of solid and liquid, and such a solid which is not soluble in water. So today we will try to separate the components of this mixture. Means we will separate the mud and water. Okay, so let us do. For this we will do an activity, and for this activity what do we need? We need two beakers, a sample of muddy water, a tea strainer, a piece of cloth, funnel, and filter paper. Let us start. So what we have to do, we will take some muddy water in a beaker and stir it nicely, right? We'll stir it very well so that both the components should get mixed nicely. After mixing it, after stirring it, we will leave it undisturbed for some time, right? Then after some time, after suppose half an hour, what we will observe, that the mud, it gets settled down at the bottom of the beaker. And this is very common observation. You must have observed this incident, right? So when we leave this mud water undisturbed for some time, what happens? This mud, it gets settled down at the bottom of the container, and this process is known as sedimentation. Means the process of settling down of this heavy particle. This is known as sedimentation. And this mud, it is known as sediment. What is it known as? Sediment. So the component which settles down at the bottom of the container, that is known as sediment, and this process of settling down is known as sedimentation. So how can we define? Sedimentation is the process of setting down of heavier component of the mixture at the bottom of the container, and mixture should be of a solid with liquid. Okay, now what we will do after this sedimentation, we have to pour this water which is above this sediment into another container like this. like this. So this water we have to pour into another container without disturbing the sediment, right? See, here in this container the sediment is left behind, and the water which was above this has been poured into this container, right? And this process is known as decantation. Okay, means the process of pouring that water which was above the sediment is known as decantation. And this water which we have poured into another container, this water is known as decantate, right? So this is decantate, and this is what? Sediment, right? Now how can we define decantation? The process of pouring clear liquid above the sediment into another container without disturbing it is known as decantation. And this process of sedimentation and decantation, have you observed in your daily life anywhere? Yes, you have observed this process every day almost in your house, in your kitchen, right? See, before cooking rice, before boiling rice, your mom washes rice, isn't it? She soaks rice in water and mashes it, and when this rice it settles down, so settles down means sedimentation takes place, right? When it settles down, mama pours that water into another container or into the sink, and this is what? Decantation. So in this way, mummy separates rice from water by the process of sedimentation and decantation. But this decantate which we have got after this process of sedimentation is not quite pure, isn't it? Here what happens? Only the heavy particles, heavy components, they settle down. But what about the lighter components? Lighter components, if there any lighter component will be there, it won't settle down. So how can we separate them? Those components which keep floating, right? So what should we show you this diagram? This diagram is given in your book for the process of sedimentation and decantation, right? So this is the mixture of sand and water, or you can say it is the muddy water in a beaker, and we have to leave it undisturbed for some time. Then what will happen? The coarse particles, the heavier particles, they will settle down. The fine particles, they will be in the middle, and the clear water will be here on the upper side, right? And after that, after settling down, we have to pour this water through this glass rod into another container. What will happen? The sand or the mud will be left behind in this beaker, and pure water will be poured into this container. And here, this is in this beaker, the process of sedimentation is taking place, and here in this picture the process of decantation is taking place. And here, by the process of sedimentation and decantation, the components of mixture have been separated. So here I was explaining the process of filtration with the help of tea strainer. Now, along with tea strainer, we can also use fine cloth, right? Muslin cloth, malmal ka kapda, okay? So we can also use this type of cloth for the process of filtration by allowing the decantation to pass through the holes of this cloth. And after filtration, what we get, it's something like this. Here again, we haven't got very clear water, isn't it? It is also, fine particles are still present in this water. Now what can be done? What should we use? So we should use filter paper. Okay, filter paper, it has smaller pores. Here in this picture you can see it. Here is the close view of filter paper. So it has smaller pores than cloths, and hence it can be used for this purpose, for the purpose of separation of fine particles from water, right? So how should we use this filter paper? We have to cut it in this shape, and we have to fold it like this, and finally we have to give it the shape of cone. Okay, and then what we have to do, we have to fit this cone, we have to fit inside the funnel, into this funnel, and then we will place this funnel on the funnel stand. This is the funnel stand. Then we will also place a clean beaker right below this funnel. Below this funnel we have kept a clean beaker, and the tip of this funnel, it should be inside the beaker, right, as you can see in the picture. So this tip of the funnel, it should be inside the beaker. Now slowly we have to, here you can see, we have to pour muddy water along a glass rod. If you use glass rod, then it's good. Otherwise also, like this also, directly you can pour the muddy water into the funnel. What will happen? The clean water, see here, the clean water, it passes through the pores of this paper, and gets collected in this beaker, right? And this water, pure water, this is known as filtrate. What I said? Filtrate. Okay. And the mud, see here, the mud or the solid impurities, whatever the fine particles were there in water, they remain on the top of this filter paper, right? They get collected in this filter paper, and this mud is known as residue. What is it? Residue. Okay. So by this method we uh, separate the components of the mixture. So what sample we had taken in the starting? Sample of muddy water, and see here it has been separated. The components have been separated by this method. Here it is we got pure water, and here we got mud, right? This is the filtrate, and this is the residue. Residue, right? Residue. And in your book, the process of filtration has been shown with the help of this diagram. I think now there won't be any problem to understand. No, here the mixture of water and mud, it is allowing to pass through this filter paper. Now it is getting allowed. We are pouring this mixture through the glass rod into this funnel, and in this funnel there is the filter paper, right? So when it passes through this filter paper, the pure water, it gets collected here, and whatever the impurities were present in this water, they get collected in this cone of filter paper, or in this filter paper, rightly you can say, and this is known as residue, and this pure water is known as filtrate. So in this way, these two components, this residue and this filtrate, they get separated by the process of filtration. And in addition to muslin cloth and filter paper, as I showed you in the picture, we can also use cotton wool, charcoal and fine sand as filters. They also trap the impurities in them and allow the pure water to pass through them. So they can also be used as filters, and this method of filtration is used by waterworks department to purify water. Here water is to purify water. Okay, clear? The process of sedimentation, decantation and filtration. I hope these processes are now clear to you. So you have to define the process of sedimentation and decantation and draw the picture, and also define the process of filtration and draw the picture where in classwork notebook. Thank you.